This is James Lutton for Pro Boxing Fans. Delighted to be joined with David Coldwell. Dave, how you doing?
I'm very good, thanks, mate. Very good.
Good stuff. Let's talk about last night's fights. We'll start with the main event. Josh Warrington, a shock loss to Mauricio Lara. How did you see that last night, and how shocked were you at the result?
So pretty much the same as everybody else there. It was shocking. It was shocking to see. He just went straight out for a tear up with a Mexican and decided to try and stand, hold his feet, exchange with him. The one thing that was said about Lara, we didn't know a lot about him, but what we saw of him, he didn't look very good. It didn't look as though he was going to be a test. We all, said before the fight how, it's kind of like it was a joke to see somebody like Lara in with Josh Warrington. But Warrington was a good example to young fighters that it doesn't matter if you're better than somebody, but if somebody's attributes are that they are very, very tough and they can punch very hard, then you lowering your skill set and just going at it their style, it's a toss-up, and then it's, anything can happen in boxing, and this is what it showed. Anything can happen in boxing. It's why we love the sport, but also, it's why the sport's the most difficult sport in the world. It can be brutal.
Absolutely. I want to mention the first knockdown, round 4. It seemed, and the general consensus on social media was that Josh was concussed. He didn't feel like he was himself from that point onwards. Obviously, he's got back to the corner. They've let him out. The referees let it continue. Would you have continued the fight if it was one of your fighters?
Listen, it's a very difficult subject when you're talking about people that you don't know. You're not in that conversation. From outside of the ropes, looking in, 100%, I would have stopped the fight. But that's me. That's my. It's different when fighters go down. They can go down heavy, get up. The legs will look a little bit wooden, but then you can bring them back to corner. And you think that minute is going to give them, but then you see how they react to it. But when the legs are completely gone and just completely not there, and you can see that the head's not there, then again from the outside, then it's easy for us to say in hindsight. But you've seen in fights in the past where people have gone on and they've turned it around. But from a person, I'm not saying I'm right, I'm not saying I'm wrong, but from a personal point of view, yes, I would have stopped the fight.
That's the one thing I wanted to talk as well. Obviously, Sean O'Hagan in the corner, good trainer. Also, Josh's dad. He's the one who's going to stop it if anyone is. He's going to know Josh the best. He's going to show the most compassion for Josh, ultimately.
Yeah.
So,
go on.
Like you say, looking from the outside in, it seemed a shocking decision to let it continue. But as you mentioned, the people who know him best were in the corner.
Yeah. And again, it's sometimes, I don't know, sometimes I'm not saying, I don't know if they've come across, they've been in situations like that before or not. I don't know. But again, sometimes it can be down to it, the experience being in that situation. It's a very, very difficult. It's all right, people saying, oh, yeah, it's just black and white. Your man looks at it, pull them out. But we've seen how fighters can recover. We've seen how fighters, especially when we tend to think of fighters with toughness and they can take a shot, you tend to be like letting them, perhaps let them take more, or you would expect and not worry much about them taking punishment. But what I saw last night was a man that, as soon as he went down, you thought, shit, it wasn't like just a flash knockdown or a heavy knockdown, but you could see that it kind of get through the round and cut. It was a case of straight away, it looked like he's gone, he's done, he's gone. And then the legs tottering, the legs having no balance, no stability. So it is one where, again, hindsight, looking at when you're not emotionally involved, it's something that you would think, I would have pulled it. But, they saw something different to how we did. And this is what makes it difficult. When I'm saying it's a difficult position to be in. For a coach, it's a very difficult position to be in, because you I don't know if they've seen him wobbled in sparring before and how he comes back, or it's hard to see. You look at some fighters in the past that have looked like they've gone. Evander Holyfield in round 10 against Riddick Bowe, and where you think completely gone and somehow they come back. But I don't know. It maybe in their heads, I'm trying to look from their point of view. It's maybe in their heads they're looking at thinking, just give him a few more seconds, and see if he can turn it around, or see if his head clears. But the problem is, it wasn't just a few seconds and then he gets stopped. It was rounds after that. Say, all right, he just nibbles through the next few seconds, gets through the next few seconds, and edging his way back into it, then fair enough. But you could see all the way through. It was like his left. I think his left leg. Every time he stepped to his left, it looked unsteady. It looked very, very unsteady on his leg. He didn't have his legs under him at all for the remainder of the fight. So yes, going around and waffling on, yes, it should have been stopped for me. But again, it's easy for us that aren't involved in the fight to say.
So I want to mention two things on the referee. First of all, should he have stopped it? Would Lara have been given that benefit of doubt, or is it because Josh was a home fighter?
Again, it's what the referee. So the referee and the corner both saw different to what we saw outside the ring. And the problem about boxing is sometimes you see things differently when you are that close up to it. I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm not saying it's right. I'm not defending either of them. I think it should have been stopped. But both the corner and the ref didn't stop it. When you're asking that question, would it have been stopped if it was Lara? 100% it would have been stopped. 100%. We see it all the time. That the opposition, it's almost like if there's an excuse to stop it, they'll stop it. The home fighter, if it's that kind of fight, it's a close back and forth sort of fight. If the home fighter is in trouble, then they can kind of like be given more of an opportunity, more of a chance, and it's not right. But it's how it is, and it's all right saying it's not right. But then if it's my fighter, then I want all advantages for my fighter anyway. I'm not saying it's right, but that's how it is. That's just how it is. There's no point in me lying and saying, "Oh, if it's that kind of fight, would I want the other guy stopping quicker than what my guy does?" Obviously. So, but the referee has to be impartial. The judges have to be impartial and call it as they see it. And 100%, if that was Lara wobbling around, if that was Lara that got up and kind of like teetered around, the fight stopped.
Something straight away on social media was about the referee. Obviously, he was the same referee in charge for Froch Groves. A lot of people feel that was stopped prematurely. Now, people are saying, "Oh, why did he not stop that?" But do you think that potentially played a part in his mind because he got so much backlash from people saying he stopped Groves early? Could that be a reason behind this?
I don't know. But that's that it's easy for people to jump on. It's easy for people to jump on refs' backs and say, "Well, you did this, a few years ago you did this, but here you're doing this." And the referee will call it as he sees it at that time. That's how he'll call it. And like I said, maybe subconsciously, maybe just how we think sometimes. If you have a reputation as a tough man, you see these shots bouncing off you throughout your career, you kind of think he can take more. Whereas if you have a hit and not get hit kind of fighter, and he gets hit, okay, it's like this. you have two normal fighters, standard sort of style, prospects coming through, exchanging, balls landing, but good fight, whatever. It's just a good fight. Oh, yeah, he's aggressive. He's come forward. He takes it. Does this, does that. And the commentators aren't picking up on, not just commentators, but people aren't picking up on every shot they're getting hit with. But then if you have a slick boxer whose style is defensively and he doesn't really get hit much, but he gets hit 3 times in a round, I guarantee you they mentioned those 3 times he's getting hit in a round. It's this perception. And it's maybe perhaps that when you're dealing with a fighter that you psychologically subconsciously think that he is tough, you kind of like allow him to go more. George Groves made a point of it, actually, when he, after I think it was on the ring apron, in the interview straight after the Froch fight, the first Froch fight, he said, I have this perception of being chinny. So as soon as it looks like I'm in a bit of trouble, the ref wants to protect you. And that can lead to a premature stoppage. So it's kind of, it can, the human, and it can be like that. Whereas if, again, like I said, you're a Carl Froch or somebody like that, who's Josh Warrington, been in with some top level fighters, never had a problem, been talking about how good a great his chin is, maybe you allow him to go that little bit longer. But regardless for trying to think how that they came to that decision, it wasn't just a few seconds and then, yeah, it's over. It was repeatedly, you could see that he was just, it was just not there. And yes, he was landing shots back, but you could see that he didn't have his legs under him. And that's a very dangerous position to be in.